How you doing? I'm back. Things are good. Feeling good about things. I got a piston up to the weld shop, getting a little bit of build up on the top of the crown for that 90cc, which I wanted to do today, but he couldn't get to it till later today or tomorrow morning. So we've got several 371s, 372s to do right in a row, and they're fairly easy to build, other than we're going to complicate the living heck out of this one. This is for Buckin Billy. It is a early 371, and I'm going to tell you there was a difference between the 98 and 99. They did release, as some of you old guys know, in 97 in the fall, you could buy a 371 from the super dealers. But they actually had been released the following year. But they were there. And there was differences in them. And some of them were big difference, some of them were subtle. Here's the one big one that really got people. And see that clutch drum is slotted. That's an early one. You remember the next year, there was just round holes. That's probably the one you see. But also, that retainer right there, that clip, remember they got that cone, that washer, and then that little clip that I'm turning right there? This was different. See that? They went away from that because loggers were having trouble out in the bush getting that on and dropping stuff, okay? So that's why they went to the cone side. But that did not make it better. I've got to find an original 371 chain tensioner. This one's missing parts. I've got some kind of weird little problem. Somebody has drove a washer with a small hole in there, and I can't get that bolt out, so I got to get a hold of that and figure ways. I don't want to screw anything up. We got some bolt holes to repair. Obviously, we're going to rebuild the starter. But we're going to make this, guys. I did a build a couple years ago for Tin Man of a 372 without altering the timing numbers. You remember some of those things we did, light piston, blah, 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 this and that. That was a 99 371 cylinder. This was just a whisker better. These 371s, they were like they were nice saw. I mean, I love them right to death. And I wanted to build this with all 371 parts, but I can't. Look at that, front of that piston on the skirt. Looks like somebody jammed a screwdriver in there when they damn thing was running. So they screwed that piston up. Okay, let's make something good out of something bad. So, what I've got is I had to dig through my box of magic tricks. Let me set this down. And let me get my scale out, wherever the heck I just put it, right here. I want to show you a few things. I'm going to tell you one of the things. These 371s were non-emission saws. 372, the first year of them, was an emission saw of some sort. It was EPA standard saw. These had nothing. I'll show you what else we got. We have the original, for this saw, top cover. Nice shape. And it's got the correct air filter cover for it, and the correct air filter that's still serviceable. You guys remember that one, don't you? Yep. Okay. We're not going big bore. We're not going really big bore. We're not putting a stroker crank in it. We're going to work with the 371. I'm going to show you all the information on how to do these darn things. Incidentally, when we get to the timing numbers and stuff, you could take them 372 OEM cylinders and go to the same numbers I do, the same work, and you'll have the same results, okay? Exactly. They're quick little saws. They won't run like the real hot big bores. But I'll tell you what, they'll give them a run for their money. And here's why. This is the original piston. It's got a little bit of weight missing there, obviously. I need to get this where you can see. So let me just carry it. And hopefully you can read the numbers. The original piston, 78.9. Let me see what I wrote in the book. Document everything you do on these builds like this, because you think, oh, that's not important. But it is. Okay, the first time I got 78.4. Let me re-zero. $78.8, that's good enough. Okay, so that's what we got. That's a light piston. Notice the single ring, I love that. Okay, so you know what that is. This is a Meteor 268 piston. It's a little tall. We're going to fix that here in just a bit. Maybe I'll even show some of it. This is 73.8. Let's give that a chance. 73.7. Okay. I'm thinking that's quite a few grams, isn't it? Now, the wrist pin was fairly light for the time it was made. This is original 371. That is 17.5 grams. The original wrist pin. So we have to take into account the weight of the piston and the weight of the wrist pin, put it together. 96.4, it's under 100 grams. See, that right there makes a good saw. So, I am using a steel 044 wrist pin. See how thin that is compared to the original one? Quite a difference. That's very strong. Okay. 14.3 grams. Look at that. Watch this. So, that piston, before I do anything, before I do any machining or anything, I'm down to 88.1 grams on this. See that? From 96 and change. That makes it turn just a little quicker. Now, what's going to be interesting for you guys is to see how low can you go. So what we end up with, kind of a cheating way, so you don't got to do a lot of complicated math. You just take your little verniers and measure from the top of that wrist pin to the top of that piston. Okay, and you get that measurement. Okay, and in this case right here, it's 665 thou. Okay, now this has, without a base gasket, 22,000 squish. That's right where I want it for this particular saw. I'm good with that. Now the 268 piston is going to be taller. Okay. That's 770.6. Okay, so you can see what the difference is. So what we're going to do is we're going to machine some of this piston. Now all we want to do is get it in the squish band area and see what we end up with a dome. If we end up with 100,000s plus a little change in dome, we're going to leave it. Okay, I talked to Buckin, he said, Harv, do it. Give me the compression. Because it's 50 millimeter bore, we're not gonna, by having 115 thousandths dome or whatever ends up being, we're not gonna be going skyrocketing into the moon on compression, because that'll kill us all anyway. It's too much. But it's gonna going to be a nice stiff pull. It's not going to be, oh my God, what I do, you know, where you need an air starter to turn the damn things over. But one thing that's kind of nice, jerk the camera around, ain't that something? I haven't thrown this in the tank and cleaned that yet. I got a sonic cleaner, but maybe I can get it where you can see this. Maybe I can't. Yeah, right there. That's not a big squish band, but look in the bottom of that. It don't just break off with sharp edge. It's rolled over. Not a big combustion chamber like some saws did, but a narrow squish band. That's exactly what I want. This is where I got, when you have a little narrower squish band rather than a little wider, you'll get more performance. It was this particular saw that was a game changer for me as a porter in 1998. That's when we started seeing them. People were bringing them brand new. Loggers were dropping them off. I'd do my thing to them. They'd take them out in the bush, and they'd run them like crazy for about 2 years. And then they'd come back, and we'd rebuild them once, do a top end again, and then after that, they went and got a new one. But there's a lot of advantages to this particular cylinder of the 371 over, especially the later 372s. They were kind of, it wasn't Husqvarna's fault. They had to follow EPA. So when you get these non-EPA saws with quad loop transfers, so you got 4 transfers. When you get these, I'm going to tell you what, map them numbers. See what them numbers were and work with them. All you got to do is tickle them. All you got to do is tickle them. And they're really, really fun to run. No, it's not going to have the power of big bore or real big bore, but it'll really surprise you what you can get out of one of these nearly stock by doing the weight savings. That's really important. Okay, I'm going to set the lathe up, and I'm going to start doing some machining here and see where we end up. I guess I should show you what I did. I built this little fixture, it goes in my chuck, and it's got an eye bolt with a nut weld on it, just something simple. These rings are only for reference, they're not for an absolute diameter. And you just put your wrist pin through that nut once you get it in the right spot. And you can tighten that up with your fingers. And you just kind of suck that up and down, and you can get it semi-centered. Sometimes you got to get this where it runs true first, and then once in a while I get disgusted and just go ahead and face it off wherever it is, the face of this face plate I built, and kind of run with that. But you can see what we're going to do is center that now. You can see how that runs out. And well, I got it far enough, didn't I? Right there, it's a loose spot. Okay, now I'll go ahead and get this set up. I'm going to take approximately 100 thousandths off of this. I got got to measure that and see where I'm at. Okay, I think that's a good point to stop right there. Do our check. That means put it into the cylinder. Turn that on. We're gonna break this edge. And this edge. Give it a little clean with some emery. And see where we're at. I should be close. Nothing hard about that fixture, guys. Just very, very dumb, simple, nothing. You can see that quite clearly there, I hope. That it just ain't made with much. It just ain't. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, what we get is, we're checking the Squish now. I just spun the wheelie thing. Well, we got 20. Right on 20. Okay, and that's 4 corners. It's within just a tenth. So that's good. That was well machined cylinder from the factory, because a lot of them were kind of wonky. You had to be careful with this earlier stuff. It wasn't always as good as you think. But this one's good. I expected that, though. I just had a feeling. So our 20,000 Squish is going to be 22, 22 and a half, 23 once we get our engine assembly silicone. Motorcycle engine assembly silicone. So that's going to bring a Squish where we want it. So I'm happy. I'm just really happy with that. Now, what we're going to do, I got to dress the piston up, make it look pretty. Let's get to weighing this darn thing. Do you remember where we was at? I forgot. What I need to do is go over by the lathe, get my darn notebook, don't I? Maybe I should show you this as I'm going along a little bit of time. It's a little time consuming to do this. So I'm not going to make a 30-minute video listening to a grinder, but you see these sharp edges here. See how that all shaped, and it's high there and there. When I get done, what I've done is I've rounded that right in here and here on both sides, and I've reduced that area. If you notice right here, this is much thinner than this side. Be a little careful, especially if you're not going to heat treat a piston. I'm heat treating this. Okay, so I'm going to get just a little more aggressive, but I've got really quite a bit of grinding. I'm going to get rid of all the flashing on the tops here. I'm going to dress them up. There's a little spot here in this window right here. I got to get that. I'll be bringing you right back in a minute. Okay, I think I'm as far as I want to go. Get our scale zeroed. We ended up with a dome. Okay. Piston weight, 65.4 grams. This piston started out 73.3 grams. The 371 piston that came out of the saw was 78.4 grams. And the wrist pin that was in the saw originally, the total weight between the wrist pin, OEM, and the OEM piston was 95.5 grams. We always figured if there was 100 grams or less, it was going to be a nice saw. Okay, now a steel 044 wrist pin. We are under 80 grams. We're at 79.7. Okay, we're approximately the same weight with a piston and a wrist pin as what just the factory piston was. Very, very, very close. And I could get it right on if I wanted to, but I'm not going to chase rainbows. So, with a total weight of 79.7 grams for the piston and wrist pin, it's absolutely fantastic. Now, what I got to do is finish cleaning this piston up and heat treat it. Now, what I do is put it in I wait till Barb's outside, and I put it in our countertop oven at 450 degrees. That's preheated oven for 4 hours. That lays the platelets down, and then you just quench it in just a bucket of tap water. And you want to quench it fast. Do not let air reduction, because the heat treat don't take. It won't lay the platelets down. This is going to be a very light, very strong piston. Now on these 371s and 372s, what I do is see how proud this is right here. We knocked that down. When you ever take a 390 part, you'll find out they don't even have them. So I get it where it's just nicely below that surface on these stock bore saws. I don't have to get real radical with the transfers, the lowers, but I try to open them up. You see they're big. Now you'll notice that it's a little difficult sometimes to make them nice and smooth in there. You don't worry about it. The next step is where you make it smooth. Let it be washboardy right there. Doesn't matter. But get it as even as you can with your eye. And if you see, like I see a couple little spots, I'm just going to... Now, a little tip. When you turn, if you cut this way and you turn the tool this way or this way and go back over it, it's like an eraser. Okay, now I'm going to cut this bevel down. I'm going to do one side, start it, and then I'll do the other side so you can see. Okay, the first step, cutting these right, and you notice that all of a sudden that how wide that was, it's narrowed right up. You see, you're already getting your shape to go into them transfers, you know. There's what it looked like. And there's what it looks like now. You can see the path that I'm starting with that. Now, from there, I'm going to cut the opposite side down because I'm using a square-bottomed grinder. So I'm going to switch now and to finish up inside. What I do is I got one, well, it's this shape right here. This one's a little bit loaded up and not bad. That type of ball is what I work on the inside of them transfers. But when you look at the before and after, you'd be really surprised how much volume you actually gain. Okay, I have got myself in a good spot here. And I'll show you where I'm at. I have my lowers shaped like I want to, and I will do a little bit with my uppers after I do my timing numbers. But what we've got, and if I can find my darn flashlight, is maybe that's easier. Let's try that. You can kind of see a little better. Okay, see how I got that taper in there? Now, that isn't that much nicer than what it was. And that's better than when we started, isn't it? Okay, so I'm working on the inside of that radius of that transfer of the lower where it goes into the upper. And I actually finished that off with a round ball. And you can't really see it, but you just kind of feel it and know that you're getting that inside radius is quite important. It really is. That's one of the little secrets I got to being able to get these little boogers to turn up quick. Run good. This is a pleasure to work on this saw, guys, and I'm going to tell you why. These 371s were hands down, in 1998, the best saw made by anybody. They were the absolute best for loggers. They performed so well. They were just a big shock. We were running 272s and steel 44s and having pretty good luck. But when that 371 came out, that was a showstopper. It just dumbfounding to run. And the 372 was a good saw. I'm not going to knock them. I'm not trying to do that. It's just that by the time it got to the 372, EPA was heavily involved in what chainsaws were doing. I'm really happy to be doing this for Buck and Billy. This saw means a lot to him, and it does to me. And we both run them when they were new, fairly new. And to have one this complete, all in one spot, is really special. It really is. I don't take that lightly. And this is something I would have liked to got to quite a while ago, but it didn't work out with health things. You know how that goes. Nothing I can do about it. Kind of sucks. Okay, you know what's funny? Oh, there it is. I thought I lost my freaking wristband. I said, oh my God, I can't lose that. I better put this in a box. There we go. And I gotta cover up my scale. This going to heat treat. Loving it. Okay, I got myself in a pretty good spot. I got to get the numbers. We got to put a wheel on it, degree wheel, and we'll get the numbers. I'll show you. I'll share what these numbers are. If you say, well, I don't really want a hot saw or ported saw. These ain't hot saws. They're just good work saws. I don't really want to have a fully ported saw. I don't want to try that. I'm not ready for it. The numbers I'm going to give you right here when we do this is what you want on your 372. And then you can realize just a little tweak from where these numbers are, and you got it. Yeah, I mean, it's just minor. It really is. A little bit more on the intake than we expect. Tiny bit on the transfer timing. Exhaust, we got to see where this piston, we ended up with a decent pop-up. Nothing radical. I didn't measure that. I don't know what that pop-up is. I know what it's supposed to be. Let's measure that. Let's find out. So we cut that out of a 268 piston. That's what we did. Well, I got so much crap on my darn glasses. I can't exactly tell. It says 58 thousandths, but I guess you got to put the other glasses. I was trying hard not to, but I'm going to do it. Okay, let's see where we're at now. Well, it's funny when you get the right glasses, you can actually see. 107 thousandths. I didn't want to go over 115 thousandths because I know what happens. And I don't want the saw to go the wrong way. I want it to go the right way. So let's consider that all win, every darn bit of it. Just fantastic. Guys, you're going to see a lot more of me. We're going to see this build when I get the piston back for that 90cc 365 special. We're having the top of it welded up so I can machine that. We'll get back into that. But I want to carry this saw just a little further since I got to start. Okay, thank you so much. Goodbye.